was I knew I was always going to be back. There was no doubt in my mind, and there's not a doubt in my mind I'm going to come back from my latest setback. But it's what's going to happen, and yeah, the rallying behind me was really really cool to.
Well, since you are in Phoenix, do you do a lot of outdoor activities? Are you a big outdoorsman?
Not really. No, I yeah, I tend to like the couch and like a Kindle and just a book and just hanging out with the dogs. I did it's our Dalmatian's third birthday today, so I took it for a walk this morning and just, yeah, not too far. That's really it. We do the occasional hike, but nothing crazy. Like for me,
Do
I
you do it?
like ATVing and stuff like that, but it's not something I can do while I'm playing, just in case of any risk of injury and all that fun stuff.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that stuff.
Yeah.
About that, I mean, are you the toughest guy in baseball or in sports? I mean, if from what I've read, you pitched through cancer, you pitched with a UCL tear.
Yeah, I mean, it's I call it the 1990s rule. Anyone who kind of grew up and born in the before the 90s, they tend to pitch through a little bit more. They tend to play through a little bit more. Now, obviously, there's the exceptions because there's a lot of guys that do that as well. But the new generation, they came up and they've been coddled a little bit more. So it's the one thing where they'll pitch and then they just expect to have the next day off because that's the way they've come through the minor leagues, and then it's a rude awakening, and then it's just a shock to the system when they get to the big leagues.
When you do that, when people find that you did that, were they like, oh, that's really tough, that's really brave, that's really tough, or like, are you crazy? Like, why are you pitching through that?
A lot more of the crazy side of things. Like, look, it was so when I was going through treatment and stuff like that, there was not much to do. Like, I physically, then you need to stay active, you need to stay moving, and for me, baseball is my happy place. So why wouldn't I go to the field? So my treatment plan was immunotherapy and chemotherapy on the Monday, and then chemo on the Tuesday, and then I'd have 3 weeks off. And so for those next 3 weeks, I would be at the field. So I'd have Monday, Tuesday, treatment days, Wednesday, Thursday, I'd be pretty much catatonic on the couch, not being able to do too much. And then Friday, I was at the field. And Friday through the next round of treatments, which was 28-day cycle, I was just at the field, kind of working out, throwing, doing that kind of stuff. So that was just that was my happy place. That was what got me motivated. And for me, it's like I always want to push the limits because we all say we know what our limits are, but no one really does. And you want to continue to push them because the more you push it, the more you realize that the more you've got in the tank.
What did you think your limit was?
Oh, I mean, that was probably my before I started having some success on the baseball field. I was probably 2018 was when I got DFA'd for the fifth time with the A's. And while I was down there, I was like, oh yeah, that's just not who I am as a pitcher, and it's not like I can't do stuff like that. And it took one of our friends, Ruby, to tell me, well, why not? And kind of it just something clicked in my mind that day, and it was like, yeah, why not? Why am I putting ceilings on myself? Why am I telling myself I'm not that guy? Why can't I be that guy? And that was to do with, like, as a reliever, 100 strikeouts in a season. I was like, oh, I'm just not that guy. Like, I'm going to be a decent above average, but never be out of that guy. And then in 2019, I had 124. 2020 was the shortened season, so I didn't have a chance at that. But in 2021, I had 113, 100 and something like that as well. And that's now been one thing that's really attainable. It's just as soon as you set your mind to something, you take away that ceiling. You're like, well, yeah, I can do that. Why? Like, who's stopping me? I'm physically able to do that. So let's go ahead and let's try it.
Well, what changed in that sense? What changed physically? What changed mentally? And how'd you all put it all together?
Physically, I just went back to the basics of, like, look, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out on my terms, and that's going to be me throwing a lot, long tossing, and really not working out as much. That was my kind of vibe of things. So, like, why am I doing bicep curls with both biceps when I'm only going to be using, say, my right side? Why am I going to be doing leg press that's going to be working on my quads when I only need pretty much my right quad and my left hamstring is what's going to be working more so than anything else? Why would I? So I do everything in a physicality way. If I'm going to be pitching, like, why wouldn't I continue to throw? So I just throw a lot. So that fine tunes every muscle that I need to do to throw into being exactly what I need to throw. And as far as mindset goes, it was just stop saying, well, I deserve that, I deserve this, I deserve that, and be like, no, if I want that, I'm going to go out and earn it. And I need to earn absolutely everything I've ever been given, because that's the only way I'm going to do it. And you know what? If they want to throw me in the fourth inning, they want to throw me in the fifth inning, they want to throw me in a situation that I think's below me, who cares? I'm going to go out there and prove them wrong. I'm going to go out there and prove them anyway. Like, so yeah, if they think I'm going to be I'm not good enough. I'm going to go out and prove them wrong. If they think I need to be able to throw the fourth or fifth or sixth inning or whatever it is, I'm going to go out there and do it and make sure that I get that next opportunity to move into a later inning role.
So when the success all happened, how did you find out then, Ken, you started getting, well, you had lymphoma. How did you find that out?
Yeah, so during the 2022 season, I had started getting this lump, and it was right on the back of my neck back here, and just this, yeah, it was started being a lump, like a half golf ball, half tennis ball on the back of my neck, and it just stuck around, and it was there for a while. I thought it was like an inflamed follicle, so I didn't think anything of it. And then another one came under here, and that's when the biopsy was to confirm it all. But there was one under there, and then I had a couple in the neck, and I just was, oh yeah, it's probably stress. Like my arm's hanging, my everything's kind of hurting right now. So I just figured it was maybe I was getting a little older. Maybe it was just one of those years where everything compounds, you don't recover as well. So yeah, got blood tests done in the middle of the season, came back completely clean. So I'm thinking I'm fine. It's just stress. It's just something or other. It'll go down during the off season. And November kicks around, and it was still there. And so reached out to the team doctor and was like, "Hey, look, I know I didn't want those antibiotics during the season, but can I get the script for them now?" And he's like, "Look, no. If they're still there now, you need to go get this checked out." Went and got it checked out, and yeah, then we found out it was stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
And what's the first reaction then?
So I've been kind of steeling myself towards this. Like I obviously there's lumps, and so you look at them like, okay, what's the best way? So I was trying warm compresses, I was trying all these things, and then I was like, okay, keep googling, and all of this is like, okay, if it's hard, immovable, and no pain, that's not a good sign. I'm like, well, shit, that's the exact opposite of the way I thought it would be. If it was in pain, I figured it would be worse, but no. Yeah, so I was like, okay, maybe what's that? It could be lymphoma, it could be something of these. And so I just was okay Googling, and I kind of resigned myself to the fact this is what it could be. And look, it is what it is. There's 82 different subsets of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I was hoping it was going to be one of the good ones. Luckily enough, it was a very treatable one, which is great. But yeah, it wasn't exactly the funnest time of my life. But I found out, called my wife, and she was obviously upset. And yeah, we got home, and that our thing was like, okay, we need to confirm this before we do anything. And then once it's got confirmed, it's like, okay, what are the treatment plans and how quickly are you going to get back?
Well, from there, I mean, when baseball season started again, what was more stressful, I guess? Was it the mental part or was it the physical part of playing through this?
The mental part of not being there was really hard. Obviously, for me, I was getting treatment throughout the first part of the season, getting treatment through spring training. My last round of treatment actually was on our home opener in April, and it was really hard because I'm lying in bed trying to watch this game and just falling asleep in and out, and I'd wake up and the score had changed, and not our way as well, but that was really hard not being there, not being able to kind of compete, not being able to do that, but yeah, the physical side of things while going through treatment wasn't too bad. It was really, I was just tired a lot. But I mean, once you're when you travel around, especially being in the minor leagues or the big leagues or even travel ball teams, you learn to play through tired. You learn that you're going to be tired some days just with travel, whether it be, oh, we're playing in Chicago, oh, we got to go to Oakland and we got to fly to San Francisco, then we got to play the next day. And it's just the travel catches up with you a little bit. So you're used to playing tired. So that wasn't too big of an issue. It was just kind of being in Arizona for an extended period of time while not being able to be out there with your teammates and not being in the grind of the day to day, and that really that stung a lot more.
I mean, playing is one thing, but playing at an elite level is probably a little different. How do you maintain that? Like I said, with the mental, and I guess the physical part of it.
So yeah, I mean, the mental side of the things is hard because you're down in Arizona. You're with, and not to take away from these guys, but you're down with a bunch of 16 to 19-year-olds, and yeah, I'm 34 at this point, so it's like you're just down there with you're a little bit above these guys' age groups and stuff like that. But for me, it was refreshing being around a bunch of guys who were excited and eager and coming to the field every day and just excited to be a part of an organization and stuff. Because once you've been around for a little bit, you kind of get a little bit jaded in the scenario. You come to the field every day, and you get the guys who come up and they're all excited to be in the big leagues, and then you get guys who've been there for a while that it kind of reignites them every now and then. So being around a bunch of young guys, going out there and having an opportunity to talk to some of these guys, the ones that were willing to talk to me, because apparently that was a little off-putting at some point, because the way I am on a mound is the way I am every time I throw or play catch or throw bullpen. So I'm a relatively aggressive human being while in uniform. And so sometimes that can be a little bit intimidating. But yeah, talking to the guys and just talking about mindset, talking about little things like, okay, why did you throw this pitch at this point? Like going over this kind of like game planning a little bit and trying to impart as much wisdom as I can was refreshing. But also being the same age or older than some of the coaching staff that was down here was a little unnervy as well.
I mean, is there a different mindset as an athlete, I mean, to overcome this than it would be maybe an average Joe or someone else?
For me, I use it as a challenge. Like, okay, this is my time. Like, I gave myself a timeline of being back on May 29th, and that was the date that I came back. And that was, I had a goal in mind. Like, okay, as soon as I got the all clear for 4 rounds of treatment instead of 6, that was my go point. And then I had a bone marrow biopsy late April just to kind of get the all clear and stuff like that. And then it was full gear, full kilt, trying to get out there as soon as I can. And luckily, I was in a part of a great organization that let me kind of find my own way and dictate what I needed to do to get back, which is very refreshing and really helped out. And our training staff in Chicago was great as well, being able to facilitate a lot of things where me coming in and certain times during spring training, like I came in later than everybody else, just because my immune system was so shot, I couldn't be around that many people. It was just a kind of a cesspit of anything, because a guy that gets a 24-hour cold that puts him on their ass for 24 hours, that would have potentially had me for 3 weeks. And that's just, it was a little bit of an issue there, but they gave me every opportunity to get back as quick as I could and love being out there.
Now, did you have to do anything differently? Did you, while you were in the treatment?
I threw a lot more bullpens than I normally would. Like, so normally my normal program is like I start bullpens in December, really get into it in January. And then February rolls around, that spring training, so I'm getting into games pretty much late Feb then. This time from pretty much February, March, April, I was throwing bullpens the entire time. So there was a push back a month, but then I also threw a lot of bullpens, a lot of strict bullpens, because that's all I could really do. I couldn't get into games because I hadn't been medically cleared. And all I was able to do was throw bullpens. So that was spring training just lasted a lot longer for me than it should have, theoretically. And that was one of the more difficult things to deal with, because I felt like I was physically ready, but I wasn't medically cleared to be able to get out there.
Now, did you lose a lot in between? Like when you're at down in Phoenix and down in Arizona to when you got
No, I didn't lose too much. Like, obviously there was a time. So after I got diagnosed, my first round of treatment, I took it pretty easy. And then I got a text message from Jameson Taillon, who's with the Cubs currently. He used to be with the Pirates and the Yankees. And he was like, don't let anybody tell you how to do it, because everybody's different, and kind of walk your own path. And so at that point, I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to push it. I'm not going to lay down. I'm not going to just play catch and then have a long build up post thing. I'm going to push it. And that's what I did. And it helped me to get back in May. And yeah, I mean, that was the one thing that really helped. But yeah, it wasn't a fun time physically. I had to, because I was pretty nauseous the entire time, so my diet did change. Like I'm usually an intermittent fasting guy, so I don't eat until noon every day. And during treatment, I had to eat pretty much every day, so I gained close to like 30 pounds. So I just because I was eating more and not doing as much exercise, so I gained a lot of weight, and that was a byproduct that I didn't exactly expect. I mean, you read about cancer treatments, you read about all this, and it's generally okay. It kind of kills the body. You lose a lot of weight, you lose a lot of muscle mass, but I went the other way. I ended up gaining weight.
So you had to buy a whole new wardrobe in the process?
Not quite. Luckily, I wasn't too bad. I mean, I just didn't mind that I'm foreign, so I can get away with wearing things that look a little tighter than your average anyway. So.
Well, I mean, throughout the whole thing, I mean, in addition to your family who's there with you the whole time, who like really made the difference in like supporting you, helping you, and just pushing you through to get back into major and just to get you healthier?
Yeah, so my wife has always been hugely intricate in that. Like, she was around at all times. She was anytime I needed anything, especially the first couple of days post treatment. Like, I didn't move too much. I was just so tired and exhausted the entire time. So she was really helpful with that. My best friend from Australia actually came over. He was out here for a week, so we were able to hang out, and that was great. Like, just that, but the support from everybody was fantastic. Whether it be guys on different teams, like I had guys who had gone through cancer diagnosis in baseball that had reached out just to lend their support and just their best wishes, and if I needed anything or wanted to ask any questions, they were around. So that's one thing I've also maintained to try and do with a lot of people as well. Like anybody who I know that gets diagnosed, hey, look, I'm reaching out. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any, you just want to talk, just give me a call. And yeah, I've had probably half a dozen people that I've reached out to, whether it be in sports or anything like that, that have been diagnosed since I have. And it's been a pretty good resource for me just to be able to kind of talk to them about stuff as well.
Well, how did you ever think of yourself you were going to be a motivational speaker, an inspiration, an Arthur Ashe winner? Did you ever see this? Well, maybe not the Arthur Ashe winner, but I mean, did you see this in your future?
Yeah, not really. Look, I've always enjoyed public speaking. I've always enjoyed kind of that side of things, whether it be broadcasting or just kind of being on the network or anything like that. But going around and yeah, I mean, we'd always done stuff in the community, so I'd always been willing to talk about what I'm passionate about, and this just pushed a different kind of variation of what I'm passionate about into things. So now it's yeah, we're able to meet up with 30 kids on the road, able to talk to them. I've done some speaking engagement stuff, and a lot of it's I tend to ramble a little bit, which annoys my wife to know a lot, but it's something that I enjoy doing, and if I'm able to kind of impart any wisdom on one person or get one person who may not have anything to do with cancer, but reaching out to someone who they know who does, that's mission success. And that's all you're looking for. You're looking to just change one person's life for the positive. And if that's me talking and then getting someone else engaged with somebody else, and then they start talking and then it gets somebody else engaged, that's all I'm trying to do.
Was there one message that you do convey to most people, or is it like just a variety from individual to individual? Like, is there
The main one is, and it's both to spouses and family members, someone with cancer, or the people with cancer, or just anybody really. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to show them how much you're struggling, or talk about your side effects, talk about your treatment plans. The one thing I've noticed really is the more you talk about what you're going through, the easier it gets. So if someone asks me about it, like I don't hide away. I'm like, oh yeah, it's fine. When it's not fine, like yeah, my side effects, I was nauseous all the time. I gained a ton of weight. I was jaundiced for the first few days after treatment every time. There was some blurry vision for a few days every time. Like I couldn't read the entire time I was going through treatment because I had like chemo fog, like brain fog. And so just talk about the side effects, because you know what? The more you talk about it, the more you realize that there's a lot of other people going through either similar things, whether it be through cancer, whether it be through any other disease or affliction they're going through. So you're not alone in this regard. And then as soon as you know you're not alone, you tend to realize that like it's not that bad. There's other people going through this. They're getting through it fine. I know I can now as well.
Was there ever a down moment for you? Where I mean, it sounds like you were just positive from day one to today.
Ever since 2018, I've been a very hugely big silver linings guy. There is a silver lining for absolutely everything. Yeah, I got diagnosed with cancer. Yeah, it sucks, but you know what? Out of all the people I know, I'm probably the most positive person I know. So if out of everyone I know, I'm the best one. I'm the one who's more equipped to be able to deal with this than a lot of other people. I have great healthcare. I am very positive. I'm able to get through this. And so you know what? Out of all the people I know, I'm probably the best one to get something like this. And what's the next silver lining? Oh, I can now talk about it. I can meet with people throughout the country with the White Sox setting up different people I can meet with on road trips. I can now talk about it. I was able to go to the ESPYs. I was able to go to the BBWA Award dinner the other night and talk about this and talk to people who have been affected negatively, and I shouldn't say positively, by cancer, but have just gotten through it. And I mean, the excitement that you can get from someone telling them, I just finished my treatment, I'm in remission. I mean, you don't see that joy on people's faces very often, and you don't see that just sheer excitement. That's something that is really, really special to behold.
Well, with that, when you did return to the mound, was it an exciting moment? Was it like a wow moment for you, or was it like okay, oh well, I knew I was gonna come back here.
Well, I knew I was going to come back, but it was still a wow moment just with the amount of people that came out, the amount of people that had signs, the amount of people that were out there supporting my wife and I. That was something that was unexpected. Like I knew people were rallying behind me, but I didn't expect it to be that kind of potent, that kind of the raw emotion that came out when I came into that game. And that was something that was really, really cool to be a part of. But yeah, it was. I knew I was always going to be back. There was no doubt in my mind, and there's not a doubt in my mind I'm going to come back from my latest setback. But it's what's going to happen, and yeah, the rallying behind me was really, really cool to kind of be a part of and be a witness of.
What was the SB? What was the whole SB experience like? I mean, did you know, how
It
long
was,
in advance did you know that you were going to be the award winner, and how long did it take you maybe to prepare for that big speech?
we we knew a little bit out. We knew a little bit out. So we were talking about speeches and stuff like that, and we sat down and like my wife wrote a lot of it. She's a lot more eloquent than I am. I can rattle and get a point across, but she's more the one who's going to be concise and to the point and have the idea behind it. But then, yeah, I got up there and I was talking and I was looking at the script as the speech as it was coming out, and then I lost complete train of thought and trying to engage the crowd, which is where I thrive, and then lost where I was at on the teleprompter and just it went from there. But luckily, I'd read through it enough times. I knew the points that I was trying to get across, and yeah, that whole experience is great. Like going at it's the only I didn't realize it was the only day of the season, only day of the year that there is no sports, and that's why the SPs is held that day. And so that was an interesting thing. So it's I went out there. The people that were there were huge. I'm a huge hockey nuffy, so I got to sit behind the Vegas Golden Knights, which was really really cool to be able to talk to a couple of those guys. And then just looking around the room, I mean, the amount of athletes and celebrities and musicians and kind of people that were all around was really really cool. And there was a lot of cool things that you don't really realize. It's baseball's in its own little bubble a little bit, and now hearing some of the other guys' stories, the other people that won the awards, it was a really cool event to be a part of.
Did you know most of the guys beforehand, or did you know most of the past, not personally, but of their stories?
Not really, to be honest. As I'm from Australia, so I didn't really grow up following NFL. I didn't really grow up following the NBA. So there was a lot of athletes there that they're talking their stories, or they've got a little snippet of a video up there, and you don't really know what's going on. But being able to kind of experience that, and yeah, everyone has their own struggles, and everyone has like you look at it on TV, and you're like, oh, you know, I mean, you just do this and you do that, and that's basketball. But there's like the intricacies of like, oh, the rolling of the fingers, the way the ball feels, the dribble, the vision, the knowing which way you're going to turn a guy, and it's just there's a lot more intricacies than you know that during baseball. But or for me during baseball, it's the way that certain times I'll put a different pressure on a finger to get a different spin on the ball and a different reaction from the ball, the way the ball moves in the flight, and to be able to take speed off and add speed. And every sport has their own intricacies, and it's a lot harder than it looks on TV. That's for sure.
When you got back to the mound, pitched strong, then an elbow tear. Was it like, oh well, or was it like, oh, not again, here we go again?
No, it wasn't. Here we go again. I mean, I had found out that I had a tear in my UCL in 2008, so that was there. It had started to heal over and calcify over, but I've had elbow pain ever since. Like, it's not something that I've been immune from. Like, I can't remember the last time I've thrown without pain, and so that was just kind of part and parcel of the way it was. The way my kind of season was heading. I was in pain all of 2022. It came back in 2023. I wasn't sure how it was going to go. Like, I felt really, really good through my games in Arizona, and then I got to Chicago before I headed out my rehab assignment. Something kind of tweaked in my elbow. And at that point, I'm like, look, yeah, I'm just probably not recovering as well. I'll be fine. It'll maybe a little scar tissue because I haven't thrown for as much as usual. Maybe that's just there, and I'll break it down. And I'll be fine. But it just kept lingering and lingering and lingering. So, I mean, theoretically, before I even went on my rehab assignment, I pretty much knew that it was gone. But I refused to not get back, and that was one thing that I prided myself on. My velocity started going down. My feel had started going down, but I was trying to push through it as much as I could because there was always that 5% chance that it was just a little bit of scar tissue. It could break off and I'll be fine, or it's a bone chip that just lodged in the wrong spot. It'll break up and I'll be fine. And unfortunately, it wasn't. And we ended up having to go to the knife. But this is something that, I mean, it's so part and parcel of today's game. There's so many people that have had it or multiple times. This is my first time ever having it. So I lasted until at the age of 34 to get it done, which is a lot longer than a lot of people. And now it's a rehab process that I'm not quite hugely fond of because I can't do as much as I normally do. But it's a step-by-step process.
What is your fitness routine like right now?
So I go to a PT every 4 days a week, and it's a lot of just arm movements and just stress testing, and then there's some thermal imaging stuff. So he takes a photo of my front and back, sees to make sure I haven't got any hot spots around my elbow or where the hot spots in my arm or back or anything like that. I just make sure I'm not overstressing certain areas of my body. They put a stem machine on, and I go through my pitching mechanics, little machines like that. I do a lot of BFR, so blood flow restriction stuff, which I love. feels like a tourniquet around your legs, which is great. Some red light therapy, any kind of anything, just throwing a bunch of stuff up there and hopefully something sticks and works well. But all the science behind a lot of this stuff is pretty cool, and it's always nice trying some new things out rather than just kind of remaining stagnant and just doing these like simple exercises completely all the time.
Well, how far away do you think you are from getting back on the mound full time?
So generally right around now, like these days, TJs, they say anywhere from 12 to 15 months. I'm pushing more for that 12-month mark. I'm not getting any younger. Plus, I'm a reliever, so I don't necessarily need as long of a build-up as some of these other guys. So my goal to get back in the big leagues right now is August 2nd, which would be 12 months to the date that I had the surgery. The goal is now to try and do the throwing progression and see how it comes out. But hopefully it goes smoothly and I can push it a little bit, which is more my mindset. It's like, you give me a date, I'm going to try and beat that date no matter what it is.
I mean, is that a mindset you've always had? I'm just going to give me a date. I'm hurt. I'm going to push past that. I'm going to get.
Not really, because I didn't get hurt too much as a kid. Like, I mean, I did get hurt as a kid, but I never really pushed the date. Like I've had 2 knee surgeries, I have the spine surgery, I've had a hip operation, now 2 elbow surgeries, one just bone chips and the other one TJ. So I've had some surgeries and some issues, but yeah, it's always been kind of, my goal has always been just to get back as soon as I can and just play through pain, and don't really have any restrictions on that. But it's the way I've always been as a kid. It's just having to, like, you just push through things. It's like, okay, I need to, my knee hurts. Like, well, yeah, perfect example. I was playing in a football game and I cracked my collarbone, and probably 15 minutes left to go on the quarter. I was training rules football, so no pads or anything like that. And I played one arm for the next 15 minutes. And then after I sat down, then I couldn't go back out because the pain was too much. But every time I tried to lift my arm above here, it would just kind of fall back down. But you play through things and you just learn to deal with it.
Or for someone who comes to you and says, I don't know if I can make it through this one, whether it be a cancer, whether it be an injury, like, what do you tell them? Like, what do you tell them to push through to say, hey, you've got it in you like everyone else does?
Well, the one thing is you always got to remain positive. Like, if you're not moving towards anything, have an end goal. Have a goal at the end of things, and that's the way. Okay, well, I'm having a tough day, but I know if I can get through today, it'll be easy tomorrow. Or if I'm having a tough week, that's my goal. I need to get to that point, and it's just having those goals. I love setting goals. Setting goals to that kind of readily beatable goals, and whether it be a day-to-day goal or whether it be something start off something small, whether it be, you know what, my goal today is get on the treadmill or go for a 5-minute walk, and then you just try and beat it the next day and beat it the next day and beat it the next day. All of a sudden you're running a marathon, and you didn't really expect to get that far. But everything is just go out there and have that goal. And you know what, if you have a goal and you're able to beat little increments to get there, it makes that end goal a lot easier to maintain, rather than just saying, oh, you know what, I'm going to run a marathon and I've never run before in my life. It's a daunting task. Or if you're like, you know what, I'm going to walk for 10 minutes today, I'm going to walk for 20 minutes tomorrow, and then just keep building on that. You know what, I'm going to go for a 10-minute run. And it's just, all you need to do is just, there's little increments. But that's the one thing. And the other thing I always say is be unique, be weird, embrace your inner weird, embrace your uniqueness, and prove that that's what you're going to do. The fact that I don't do too much as far as that, I embrace my inner weird, I embrace who I am, and be yourself. Everyone else is taken.
All right, Liam, thank you so much, man. Hey, good luck with everything. Can't wait to see you on the mound.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.